Yes.
Yeah. So this was the question that we gave in the last clinical setting, said that you are working as a middle grade registrar at a district hospital, and then you are asked to take relevant history from a mom called Clara, and so what you need to do is, one second, there's someone waiting. So yeah, you are asked to gather in history from this mom regarding the development of the. You may ask the questions from the domain of gross motor, fine motor, and social skills. And in your examination discussion with the examiner, you will be asked to describe the step-by-step examination of speech and language assessment. So this is how a typical development station will be in your exam, that you will be asked to assess one domain, and the rest of the domains will be part of your history taking. Okay. So and the history taking is itself. I think 13 marks, which is quite long, which is carries significant marks. And if I just show you the anchor statement. So this is the clinical statement scorecard. This is the development station. So this is you're being assessed on information gathering, you're being assessed on physical examination, you're being assessed on identification of clinical signs, clinical reasoning, and management planning, and then how you have communicated and presented, summarized, and dealt with your examination purpose. So you can I mean, just refine this. It's not too big to score marks in this area, but this information gathering is quite key information. There's a lot of things to gather in the history. So I will just show you the development station, what you need to do. One second. So yeah, this is what I had shared with the previous candidates. I'll share this with you as well. So in the history part of the development, you are expected to find out whether it's etiology, find out the etiology, whether it's static or progressive, whether it's how it has been, what's the onset, whether it's a perinatal history and then get the prematurity or birth history, or it's a chromosomal or a genetic cause. Essentially, you're trying to gather whether it's a progressive neurometabolic condition or it's a cerebral palsy. I think someone's waiting.
Yeah, I've entered Aisha.
Have you? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, just going back here. So this is the information gathering. You've etiology, then the past history, previous hospital admissions, and then any associated comorbidities, and then the social aspect, education needs and plan, and what were the professionals, who were the professionals involved so far, and what's the impact on the family. And then you come to exact the history taking part of the domains. And a good idea to start with that is the ask whether you have any concerns with vision and hearing. And gross motor, you ask two to three questions in each domain to assess where they are lying. So in the gross motor, if you ask where if the child is able to walk or run, and then go upwards, and then if the child is not able to do that, then try to go one step behind, and then you have to gather the milestone age approximately within 3 months of range if the child is small. If the child is less than 18 months, 1.5 years, you have to give your range of estimated age within 3 months domain, like plus or minus 3 months. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have gathered that the child is crawling, if the child is walking with support, that comes around 12 months of age, and you gathered that the child is not able to walk without support, that's around 15 to 18 months. So you can say the child is between 12 to 15 months. So but if the child is older, like if it's a toddler, 2 years or 3, more than 2.5 years, 3 years or 4 years, you can give your domain in the range of 6 months. Okay. So for example, if the child is walking upstairs 1 feet each at a time, so the child, and while coming downstairs, the child is using 2 feet together, so that puts him at the age of roughly around 3 years. But the child is not able to throw the ball over the shoulders, so the child is less than 3.5, less than 4 years. So you can easily say the child is 3 to 3.5 years. So that's how.
Dr. Rais, sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
Our first question for developing any aspect
Yeah.
our first question would be like our personal judgment. I mean, if I'm seeing a child who's walking from point A to point B,
Yeah.
and then I think that this child should be between 15 to 18 months. So
Yeah.
next question I can ask mom that can he run?
Yeah. I
So
mean,
that's my
that is,
personal judgment that I decide to ask, right?
yeah, but the what makes it tricky is that you do not have actually a child in front of you.
Okay.
So this is not non-role
And they
player
will not
age.
even give the age,
They
right?
might give you age. They might give you age. It's not a, I mean, hard and fast rule. They may give you an age, but the age might be irrelevant. If you have
Mhm.
a 4-year-old child who is cerebral palsy and his child is bedridden, so it's not, it would not be reasonable to ask if the child is able to crawl, if the child is able to stand with support and things like that.
Okay.
Do you
And
understand?
Dr. Solé told us that we can ask that what is the child doing right now. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can
yeah. So
ask this
there,
from the
yeah,
examiner as well.
yeah. So there comes the structured examination of a development station. You do not straight away jump into assessing the domain. What you still follow that same rule which we discussed in all clinical one, that you do the wiper stuff, wash your hands, introduce yourself, seek permission, expose the patient, reposition the patient, and then you look around the patient for
Yeah.
any medical equipment. So in this example will be a kind of wheelchair, hearing aid, glasses, or any orthotic support or things like that. And then you look at the patient if the patient is well, unwell, adequately grown, or poorly nourished, and if there are features of any stigmata of chronic disease or any dysmorphism, or if there is any stereotypical behavior, if the child is demonstrating any stereotypical behavior. So these are the things you will do first as a first step in your approach towards examination, and then you proceed on with the examination of your assessing the domains. I mean, describing how you would be doing.
Mm.
Did you get that?
Okay.
Yeah. So uh, I think we can just start um, in terms of the examination of developmental station. So I will not go through like what domain, what at what age is the child able to do what activities. So what we are going to do here is we'll practice how you're going to in the exam, how you're going to describe the examination of developmental station in each domain. So gross motor, how you're going to do. You can very well, you are more than welcome to open your books in front of you, and whichever book you are following, whichever list you are following for the learning the milestones, you can keep that in front of you, but try to memorize that and then commit to your memory. But what I need you to describe today is how you would be describing gross motor, fine motor, socials, and speech and language for each domain, and how you'd be proceeding with your examination and summarizing. Okay, so
Okay.
these are the I think these are the gray areas where we need to really work on.
But I found it very difficult, Dr. Reis. I get mixed up with the development.
With the milestones age,
Yes,
like, can you give me an example where do you get mixed up?
like the crayons, then scissor, then throw a ball, like so many
Look,
things.
don't make that list long for your memory. For if you're memorizing, right, don't make that list long, because you cannot ask all those questions, you cannot assess all those questions. Highlight, try to keep that list as short as possible by memorizing each milestone, memorizing milestone in each 3 months age in the first 18 months, and then 6 months, 6 monthly after that, after 2 years. For example, in gross motor, you should know that when the head holding comes, when the rollover comes, when the sit without support comes, when the sit with support, sit with support, sit without support, and things in between, like the child is able to have a strong kick or a lateral propping, and the child is not falling down on shifting, turning laterally. You can omit this at the first stage of your learning. Try to memorize the broad things first, and then
Like
go
I
into
was
the deeper
looking
things.
today at the video of Down syndrome. She has to assess the speech of the, and she was asking, she's this child is able to know the nouns, he does not know verbs, he's follows some of the prepositions. So I was thinking this is so much.
Yeah, no, this speech and language assessment is challenging for a lot of people, and this is where you need to practice, because everyone uh, is able to, everyone memorizes gross motor and fine motor. They are really good at it, but what they're lacking is speech and language, and they are lacking in the social domains, and that's where a lot of candidates fall short, and they fail in the exam, in the development exam. They get score less marks. Yeah, Dr. Saleh, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so for the development station, right, there are like very oftenly asked questions. Like one is autism, that is like fetal, it could be fetal alcohol syndrome or fragile X syndrome. Then Duchenne muscular dystrophy, Down syndrome. These are very commonly asked. Okay, and the next preterm with spastic diplegia. So these scenarios you should keep in mind and prepare really well. Okay.
Okay.
Down syndrome, very oftenly asked. Then Duchenne muscular dystrophy, very oftenly asked. Okay. So if you don't, in that station, while examining, if you don't do if you can't elicit Gover sign, you will sometimes, and if you don't say CPK levels and things of that sort, you can easily fail the exam. So Duchenne muscular dystrophy, Down syndrome, fetal alcohol syndrome, ADHD, and what do you say, fragile X syndrome, autism. These are very commonly asked, and X preterm with spastic diplegia. Yeah, you should look for hydrocephalus and VP shunt and things of that sort. Yeah.
But she was okay. She was asking lots of questions in the in the past test video. They have given, like, they have confused us a lot.
Is that in that video, is it a role player based? Do you have a child in front?
No, it was, there was a child. There was a child.
There was a child, right? Yeah.
Like,
Fastest,
That
yeah. See, fastest videos are they have not updated their videos. Okay, you will
yeah,
not have patients in development station.
okay.
They have not brought back
And
station
she was asking
patients
so
yet.
many questions. Similarly goes for the communication. When I was looking in the communication, she was saying so many things, like I was having a headache after hearing the communication stations of past test. Okay, I have got some of the points, but she's telling so many things that I
no,
was
no, no.
saying, like, we are not
Yeah, as I said, make a very broad list, general. List of your own, whatever you are comfortable with in terms of milestones. I made my list, and um, for each domain, I made a list. As I said, 3 monthly for the first 18 months, and 6 monthly for the further till 4 to 5 years age, and in all the domains. And practice more the speech and language, because it's more tricky and more challenging. And the examiner, I've heard feedbacks that they do assess if the candidate has explored noun, verbs, prepositions. Okay,
okay.
the color identification, the gender, the address, those things are
Yeah,
less
because he
less
has a
important.
best friend,
Yeah,
and like they were
yeah, yeah.
asking.
Those things are less important. The key things are, have you seen this one? Obviously, you may be aware of this chart. Yeah,
Yeah, this chart I
this
know. So
this
should I
chart
just
is
simplify this chart?
this chart is really good for speech and language. I would say it's one of the best charts.
Okay.
Okay, and for fine
Then
motor, I think fine motor also as well. It covers a lot of things. Gross motor, it's a bit deficient. I can say you can add your list. So what I did, I took this printout and I added things on top of this, whatever I needed to.
Okay.
Okay. So whenever you are revising, whenever you are looking at the same content, same source, because when you look at different lists each time, you're looking at the past test book, you're looking at the past test video, you're looking at the other content material which is available on Telegram, which is available on Facebook, Google Drive. You will
Yeah.
confuse yourself at the end of the day. You will definitely confuse yourself, because it's an overwhelming load of materials to absorb. You have to refine the
Yeah.
contents and take it accordingly. Okay, so for me, one of the best is speech and language milestones is this one. And so the social is okay till till young age, but I took the social milestones from past test book, from the textbook of the past test, and I just added few points. So you have to assess in 4 domains, as I said: feeding, toileting, and the um, play behavior with the other things,
Yeah,
and dressing.
imaginative, solitary.
Yeah,
There's so
and
many
dressing.
things.
Yeah, so 4 things: dressing, toileting, eating, drinking, and play and behavior. These are the areas you need to be mindful of, and take 2 points from each, and try to revise those same list again and again. Okay,
Okay.
don't overwhelm yourself with loads of list and loads of information. The examiner doesn't care, and the examiner is not looking for whether you know if when the child is able to run at full speed, stop and turn back at what age, and each age what the child is able to do. Okay,
Mm.
so yeah, try to be, I mean, prepare smartly rather than preparing with a hard work.
Okay.
So yeah, so we'll start with assessing speech and language. So who's gonna start first in describing step by step examination of how would you be assessing speech and language in a boy, in a trisomy 21 boy, which we discussed this last time.
18 months old.
Shall I start?
Yeah. So suppose I give you the child is the age of 4 years, and mom has come with hearing concern with hearing. So the child is not able to speak. Sorry, child is not able to speak. So yeah, if one of you can start, and then we'll pick another candidate for social assessment. We'll pick another candidate for fine motor assessment, and then another candidate for the gross motor assessment. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will not be timing this. So yeah, if you can just start, and we'll go through the outline of and the examination, how you would be doing this.
Okay.
So we are doing speech and language assessment of a 4-year-old child whose mom has come with concerns of the child is not speaking as per his peer age group.
So
Yeah.
this starts just from the point where we do the examination and then 3 minutes of discussion with the examiner, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
you've
so we are
completed
skipping
the
the
history.
history.
You've
Yeah.
completed the history. Now you start with the examination.
Okay. So, although I'm not very good at it, but shall I start?
Yeah, yeah. Go on. Give it a
Okay. Okay. So first of all, I'll go with the Viper formula. I will wash my hands. I'll introduce myself to the mom and baby, and I would talk through mom and will tell her what I'm going to do. So I'm basically, mom, I'm going to ask about the speech and language aspect of the child, so that I can assess that which exact age he falls on. And so I'm basically, so I'll also introduce myself first of all, and then start with all this, and then I will watch what the baby is doing. So I will look for the surroundings of the child, what he's doing, and I would observe the baby, what exactly he's doing as per the speech and language is concerned.
So yeah, so
So
when you
yeah.
see this, the child is sat down playing with the toys, and the
Mm-hmm.
child appears to be in happy mood.
Happy mood. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll try to interact with the child, and I'll go and sit on the level of the child and ask him with the things he's playing with, and if there are any toys around, I'll take one of the toy. Let it be a cat, and I'll put that on the bowl, and I will ask the child that where do you think the cat is? I mean, can you put the cat? Sorry, I will show him first, and then I'll ask him, can you put the cat on the bowl? So can the child put it?
The child doesn't seem to be engaging with you. The child is asking back for the toy.
Asking back for the toy. Okay. So I'll just ask the child, what is your name?
Yeah. So the child does reply with his name. In a broken speech, he says his name is John.
Okay. Okay. So I will ask him, is he a boy or a girl?
So the child is not able to tell you that.
Okay, he's not able to tell me that. Okay.
I mean, the child
So
doesn't respond to you in that question.
okay. So I will ask him. I will ask him, where is mummy? So can he answer that?
So child points his finger towards his mummy.
Okay. And okay, so I will ask the child to point body parts. Like I will ask him, where is my nose? Where's mom's nose? So can you just tell me that?
Yeah, the child makes an attempt, but he so as you proceed with asking the body parts, he cooperates with the first two, and then he misses after that.
Okay. Okay. And then I try to ask names of the objects around. So let it be any whatever objects are around, I'll ask him to name them. So can he name them?
For example, like what specifically you are asking for?
There are certain animals there, and I'm trying to ask him, what is this? Or there are cubes, so I'm just trying to ask, what is this? So can he tell me that?
No, the child is not able to respond to that.
Okay. And is the child interacting to mom at all?
Yeah, the
In
child
language.
seems to be interacting, going to mom's lap, coming down, playing with the
In
toy.
language, regarding the language, I'll ask mom to talk to him and engage him, asking him, try to talk and make him talk in sentences. So is he able to talk in 2 words or 3 words?
No, so mom does give you the history that the child is able to point. The child usually points whatever the child wants, but doesn't use words.
Doesn't use words.
Yeah,
Okay.
doesn't join words and doesn't use more than one word.
Okay. And otherwise, according to the understanding of the child, so can I ask mom that does he understand nouns? Like if you tell him names of certain things, can he follow that and understand that? Like
For example,
if you
what
ask him
specific
that
command would you be giving?
I'll ask that this is a pen. So can he understand this is a pen? Can he relate to it? This is a pen.
The child doesn't. The mom gives you the response that the child doesn't really interact with doesn't understand that, but will take that and play with it.
Okay. And okay, what about understanding of verbs? Like if we ask the child, can he eat with what can he eat with? Can he point towards the object, like the fork or the spoon?
No, you do not get a response there.
Okay, so I think the child is falling in between 9 months to 12 months.
Okay, and like
Speech and language.
what makes you think that?
Because he's just telling his name and he's interacting in just words, not trying to interact in sentences, and he just points things and his uh, I think he's not understanding nouns or verbs, so his age
Okay.
falls in 9 months to 12 months.
All right. Fine. So yeah, what are the thoughts of the other candidates? What do you think? What was the positive and what was lacking in the examination there? Any inputs?
So I have a question. If
Yeah.
he's like no, he's like if I'm asking him for step one,
Mm-hmm.
and then he agrees to step one, as in he is doing that step one. Let it
Mm-hmm.
be 9 months things he's doing, and then
Mm-hmm.
12 months things he's not doing. I'm trying for 18 months, he's not doing. Shall I still go on the list? 2 years,
No,
two
no,
and a
no,
half years?
no,
Yeah.
no.
So that's
So
what I'm like.
so when you get a higher point, you don't need to. You can just ask one. Probably one question above that, and then you don't go further beyond that. So in this examination, again, you started well with the initial introduction, rapport building, and then looking at the child. But again, you missed an important thing. Looking around the patient, looking for any medical equipments and aids. For instance, in this, especially in child with speech and language assessment, it is very important to look at. You would ask
Hearing.
explicitly hearing aids. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that and in this particular trisomy 24
I
case, there
although
was a
I
hearing.
said I want to look around the child, but I think I didn't say in specific that for hearing and
Yeah, and unless and until you verbalize that, the examiner
okay.
will not give you the response or the cue,
Okay.
because that's a critical question that you would be looking for in actual examination. And then that's you went right in terms of going down at the level and trying to see what the child is doing. So you would be assessing two domains of the speech and language contains mainly two domains, which is the expressive and the receptive. So you can start with either of whatever you feel so. So you started with the receptive aspect of checking if the child is responding. First, you would check if the child is able to respond to your sound when you give a call. If the child is turning the head towards you, and if mom calls, if the child is turning to the head. So this will be the first step. And the way you
Response
will
to
be
name.
describing, the way you'll be describing this examination in your examination is that I will give a I will call out the child by his name, and I would like to see if the child is able to respond to me. And if not, then I would ask mom to give shout out his name and see if the child is able to respond or not. And then the examiner will give you appropriate cues. So what a lot of candidate makes mistake is that um, they just jump on and they ask, is the child responding to the name? Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you so the difference is here you're describing how you would be doing the examination, but you know the content what you're doing, but it's just sophisticating and refining it in exactly the way you would be doing in the examination and you would be doing actually.
No,
And
so
then
I didn't get it. In examination, what do we need to do? Assume that the child is in front of us, or
yeah
assume
yeah
that
yeah
we are
yeah yeah
asking all the things that we need to ask to from the
no,
examiner?
you have to assume that you are in a scene where the child is in front of you, and what exactly you would be doing if the child was in front of you, and then you describe that as a third person, or
Okay.
you can describe that as a second person, doesn't matter. So you say
Okay, so
I
it's better that I'll call for the child's name and I'll look for his
yeah
response.
yeah
Okay.
yeah yeah, and then you obviously you have the list of the developmental kits which is available on RCPCH website. You have to make use of those items to assess your examination in all the domains. So
Okay.
then you would, after checking if the child is responding to the name, and then you ask the child's own name, and then you ask where the mom is. You've assessed for noun. You would ask that I will now ask where is mummy, and then I would see if the child is able to point. And then you ask the child pointing towards own body parts, or the pointing towards your body, showing your nose, or the doll's nose. So that will give you an estimate age of based on whatever he's doing. So that's 15. That's it is still assessing nouns. And then you once the child does the noun thing, then you go to the verb. That
Okay.
you then you would say, I would bring the pen and paper in front of the child, and I would also bring an other object like an animal, and then I would ask what do you how do you which of this would you use to draw, will you use
Okay.
to draw on the paper, and then the child will give you a response. So that will give you the verb. And then um, the so your in your assessment you've jumped from, you were assessing nouns and again and again, and you jumped from noun to you first asked preposition, that if the child is able to do put the thing in the cup. So that was quite a higher task you gave straight away. Yeah. So try to go in a stepwise manner, and then you will give them the in the receptive part is very easy to assess. I would ask the child to go get that ball for me. So it's assessing one step command. If the child is able to follow one step command, it's 1 year. Two step command, how would you check for two step command? So what would you say to the examiner, or what would you describe by assessing two step command, to assess for two step command?
Uh,
So you can say that
okay. Yeah.
I will ask John, I will ask the child to take this ball and give it to mommy.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a two-step command.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if the child is doing this, go to 3-step command. I will ask child to take the ball from mommy, bring it to me, and then put it under the table. So this is three-step command. So try practicing these things when you are preparing on your own, when you're revising. So how would you be doing this? So it should come as an instant reflex at how you would be doing assessing 1-step command, 2-step, 3-step. How would you be? What questions you would be asking to look for nouns? What questions you would be asking to look for verbs? And based on the items of the list, and what questions you would be asking to look for prepositions. If you are able to, these 5-6 questions, if you are able to practice and you have that at the back of your mind, you can easily pass through in the speech and language domain. And then comes the expressive part. You can the examiners do allow, it is reasonable to ask that from mom, that if the child, I would like to see how is the child interacting, as you rightly said. And if the examiner does say that the child is using one word, two word, and when you ask the question, you tell that I'm looking for this, that I would like to see how is the child interacting, and I'm looking for if the child is using one word or two word, and if joining the word or not. Okay. And if the examiner gives you the cue that you can't, the child is not interacting with mom at the moment, the child is upset, irritable, then you can ask that I would then check with mom that how does the child ask for feed if he's hungry, how does the child ask for any item of interest if he wants it, how does the child express his happiness or anger, and how many words does the child use. So you will get the expressive part.
Yeah, so in this case, I asked his name, and he told me his name, and then he was not telling me anything. You told me that he's playing, he's not giving response, and then I asked mom, and she told me that he mostly responds in, like, he points out things. So so what else could I have done here?
So then that was fine. You got the estimated age, the expressive speech estimated age. That was all right. Then you can ask mom that have you heard him? Does he use one bisyllable or monosyllable? And does he join two words together? You can ask that. And in this case, the answer would have been no. So the child is lacking in the expressive speech, expressive domain, as well as the receptive domain. Okay. So just summarizing it again, prepare a list of questions, what questions you would be asking to assess nouns, verbs, to check for child's hearing first, nouns, verbs, and then prepositions, and then the expressive part, and then 1-step command, 2-step, and 3-step commands. Okay. So that will complete your speech and language.
And what is the closing line? I mean, I just said that according to my findings, child lies in between 9 to 12
so
months of
you
age.
can summarize this, that you can summarize this, that today I've examined so and so 4-year-old child John, who appears well for his age, who appears well grown, and he's and on initial examination he has had he's got a hearing aid or not, any medical equipments if they are present, then you put that in the opening line. And then on assessment of his speech and language domain, he was able to demonstrate that the child was pointing at his mom, indicating that he is 12 months of age. So you link your finding with the age, with the age assessment, so that the examiner will know your clinical reasoning, why you are telling that, instead of just telling that I think the child is 9 to 12 months of age. Okay.
Another thing which I wanted to add, right? See, usually development assessment is done by community pediatricians. Okay, so you have to understand, you will never. Always they will not come to a diagnosis after one visit. A community pediatrician will always call this child for a follow up. Okay. So in your summarizing, you can say that after today's assessment, on my assessment today, I was able to elicit John to do these and these things. So I presume his estimated age, development age, is of this age. Do you understand? In the sense, I will bring this child for a follow up in my clinic. You should always recommend that in your management. Hello.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah, in,
Yes.
in
Yeah.
today's assessment, I was able to elicit John to elicit these many signs. So I presume his development, because it's a presumption. You're not basically, what do you say, quoting it as this diagnosis and this age. So you're presuming it to be of this, but I would definitely bring this child for a follow-up clinic in my clinic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then moving on to management. You're going to say management, right, Dr. Rice?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what inputs would you do? What management would you be doing in this case?
Okay. So I'll tell mom my presumed age that this child fits in for the speech and understanding, and then I will tell that we have this speech language therapist available. The child can have sessions with that that will help the child to learn more things and gain things according to his age. And I think for just this, if I'm asked to just, just help for this only domain, then I think speech language therapy is the right thing to do. And also, I would want mom to interact more with the baby, give him more time, and try to, try him to.
No,
Uh,
I
This is
think
a
the
Down's child,
first,
right?
yeah,
Sorry,
downstairs.
This Myra, this is a Down's child. So is salt enough?
sorry. Yeah, I think salt is enough
But we will
for
also
this
refer
only.
to biology now.
Yeah,
Now,
for
the
this
first step in
delay we
any
can
case
also
of speech and language assessment, in any case of speech and language delay, the first step is hearing assessment.
hearing assessment. Yeah.
You have to do the hearing assessment regardless, and you have to check if that's been done or not, and you have to check the follow up of the hearing assessment. That's the first thing, and then comes the input from the multidisciplinary approach, uh, which would be the speech therapist or um, the
See,
occupational.
always remember your position. You're a registrar, okay? So you should say, I will refer if the child doesn't already have a referral to community pediatricians, you should start from there, okay? And as Raisbhai
Okay.
said, hearing. So don't just simply say, salt is enough for this kid. You will fail this thing. You have to, it's always multidisciplinary. Your answer is always multidisciplinary, okay?
Okay.
There is a limited things which salt can do. What about doing blood tests and all? What if you have to say thyroid level? What if there is other comorbidity which you're not addressing in the situation? Don't just say salt is enough for this child. It's already a
I
Down
just thought
syndrome.
that I'm going to assess the speech and language.
No,
Yeah, now I
in
just realized we need to tell for everything.
in this station, development station, you took a history. Okay, in that history, what if you found fine motor delay, and you found some of the other domains social delay? When the management comes, you should manage everything, not just speech and language. That's why
Hmm.
there is a history taking session. Yes, they've only asked you to assess all speech, but you took a
Yeah.
history prior to this, and then you've assessed. Now, in your management as a whole, it's a Down syndrome child, so you should make sure the mom's already having a Down syndrome support group. You should,
Hmm.
if the mom is not there, I will signpost mom to a Down syndrome support group. So you should add every. It's a holistic approach. Okay, you understand? The more you people you involve in your management, the more that's what they basically are looking for, the examiners. Do you know how to make a referral, whom to make a referral, appropriate referrals, and whom all to involve in the child's care? Then you get maximum marks. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a specific management for this domain, and then there is the holistic management, as Dr. Saleh pointed out, that the other aspects, which also includes the social aspect, if the child needs additional support, and then the supportive
Senko
care.
in school,
Yeah,
special
education
school. Yeah.
plan, school financial needs, and then the supportive plan as well, which is the multidisciplinary team, which will be if it's a downs, it's a long list of team, but you have to make sure that you make arrangements for all the referrals to the community team.
EHCP, what we call that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the child,
Education healthcare plan.
yeah,
And Down syndrome children have an annual care plan. like every year they get the thyroid checked. So you just tell all these things, so the examiner will be really impressed that about Down syndrome's what do you say, annual care plan. They have things, eyes checked, their ears checked. So I'll make sure the child is on a regular Down syndrome annual care plan and things of that sort. Yeah, just read about
Mm-hmm.
that. I have
Okay.
written it down. I can send it to you guys. Like what all Down syndrome children get done every year. Some are monthly checks. As they grow up, they think a lot of things are checked in them. Yeah.
Bloods for thyroid, leukemia,
Yeah,
and
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
So
eye and ear
I'll
celiac
try to
assessment.
disease.
find
Yeah.
out. Yeah, this is RCPCH.
So you may not have time to list all of these tests, but even if you mention the annual care plan of the Down syndrome follow-up, that will summarize, that will give you the examiner the impression that you know what the Down syndrome I mean thing management is. But if it was a non-Down syndrome child, then you have to look for the specific management of the speech and language and the social inputs, and if there was any other concerns um, from the history, if you've gathered, if it was a case of a progressive disease like adrenoleukodystrophy, then you would involve pediatric neurologist, do an MRI as well, and things like that. Okay.
Mm.
So yeah, so now we can move on to the social domain. Does do, does anyone want to make an attempt for the social domain? They can open. You can open your domain list book, and then you can
Should I
start.
do the social one?
Yeah.
Although I don't remember anything.
No problem. But
Zarar? No. Oh, yes, yeah. अच्छा. So, should I start?
yeah,
This is a
start.
4-year-old
So
boy,
so
right?
yeah, this is a 4-year-old boy.
So, we will go from like backward, right? Like I'll start from the social milestones of 4 years and then I'll go back.
No,
Or
it's better to I mean, when they have come with concerns of developmental delay, you do not know how much delay it is. So instead of going from top to back, better to start from bottom to up.
okay. So,
You can choose a rough in anywhere in the middle. You can start from 2 years. You can start from 1 year.
so in the social, I would we have to ask about play, feeding, dressing, toileting.
Yeah.
So I will ask, how does he like to play, mom? Does he play alone or does
No,
he
I'll, I'll
play with
just I'll
his
just I'll
friends?
just remind you. You have missed the initial bits again. Um,
Okay.
introduction, looking around the
Okay.
patient, looking at the patient, and then this is not a history taking station. You are not asking mom. You are assessing the
Okay.
social domains. You are so how, for example, if you had a child in front of you, uh,
Yeah.
how would you actually assess? What would you be doing? Can you
So
can you
I
tell
will
me that?
try to interact with the child. Hello, I would like to call with his name and see how his eye contact.
Yeah. So what you are doing is you are building rapport. Okay.
Yeah, I will build a rapport
Yeah. So just make that comment to the examiner that I would build a rapport with the child,
I will,
um,
okay,
and then proceed on with the assessment.
and proceed
Okay.
on with the assessment,
Yeah.
and then
And then
I will
what?
try to
And then what
encourage the
exactly?
child.
Sorry.
I will try to encourage and the child so that he would like follow my command, and I
Yeah.
would, or I can start by looking like how he's playing, whether he's playing alone. Like
Yeah.
obviously, I think there would be no other kids around, but I will see how he's playing, and
Yeah.
also I would like to ask like, does he like to play alone or
No.
does he
Again. Avoid asking. Avoid asking.
avoid asking? Okay.
Yeah. So in
So
exam
how
in
I will
actual.
say? How will I check
So what
then?
you have done is you are observing the child, which is a good thing, which is actually what you would be doing in the actual examination.
Yeah.
So you will make a point to the examiner that I would come down at the level of child and I would observe
Okay.
uh, what the child is doing, if the child is engaging with me, if the child has looked at me or not.
Okay, I would
because
like
that's
whether the
yeah,
child is engaging with me or not, or I would like to play with him and see
yeah,
how much he's able to respond with my command, or is he playing is he playing with me, or is he just solitary, like playing solitary? He likes to play alone,
yeah.
and
So sorry to interrupt. Use this approach. What you
yeah,
would be doing, and then what response you are checking. So to the examiner, you have to say that
okay,
I would try to I would come down to the level of child and see if the child and look if the child is looking at me, if the child is trying to engage with me or not. Wait for a pause. Examiner will give you a cue. The child doesn't seem to engage. If the child is engaging, and then I would like to see. I would give him the toys. I would bring the toys in front of him, and I would like to see.
Can we
Uh,
just, sorry to interrupt,
yeah,
at this point, can we just ask child's name to start with, just to see
yeah,
if
yeah,
he's
yeah.
interacting or
Yeah.
not?
Use your. You can. This is left to your imagination. You can use your skills to
what do you think? Is it
get the
easy
engagement.
without a child, or is it difficult? Like it's easy to assess the child without a child, the developmental milestones, or this virtual thing, or um,
I will, I will,
was it?
I will tell you it's
You
much
have no
easier.
option. There is no patient.
Yeah,
What are
this,
you asking for a patient? There is no patient, dude. There is no virtual or reality. आपके एग्जाम में पेशेंट नहीं है तो फिर ऐसे ही पढ़ लो.
Okay, okay. No, 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 no. I'm just asking like what, because you guys know
I
that.
will give you, I will give you a general, I mean, give feedback. It is much easier if you just understand how to work this exam.
Okay,
It is
we
much
just have
easier.
to imagine कि हमारे सामने बच्चा रखा हुआ है और उस बच्चे के साथ हमने
We are
खेलना है.
finding it very difficult, to be honest, Dr. Rais and Dr. Soleh. It's very difficult for us imagining that what the child is
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
and then
yeah.
asking questions accordingly rather than
This
doing
is
with the
That,
kids.
this is the
that
challenging
is
part.
why
This
I
is the
lost the
challenging part.
exam.
Mm.
I lost the exam during COVID time.
And in my during my exam, I lost maximum marks in development because of this.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we have practiced this all in our country and we were practicing on children. So we were, focusing more on trying them to act on our commands rather than, learning what to say.
See,
Yeah,
imagine if there is a really, really, what do you say, mentally retarded kid or an autistic child. Okay, imagine there was. You only have 9 minutes of the examination. Imagine you're asking and the child is not responding to you. Okay,
Yeah.
is not showing any eye contact or anything. So,
Hmm.
then you will stutter. You won't know what to ask next.
Yeah, you
Okay, you are
become
losing
blank.
time. But now in this situation,
Yeah.
if there's no patient, you are saying that you say, "Hiya, John. Do you know your name, John? Do you know your surname?" You ask like that. Okay. Now the examiner will tell you he is not responding. Then you can move on. Okay.
Hmm.
Imagine if there's a real John, Down syndrome John, the child is not at all interacting with you. You will not be able to assess anything. If for your bad luck, that child is not, child is fed up. You're like the eighth the candidate who is examining the same child. Okay, and you will not be able to what do you say, come to a diagnosis in the end. Now since there is no John, there is no patient, the examiner will give you the right cues and will direct you to what age it is. So
yeah.
in a way, it is good that you are doing this virtual.
Yeah. Okay. Okay,
Because
then I would
from our
like.
I have a request, Dr. Soleh and Dr. Rais. Like, I know you guys are making us work on it and we are making a lot of mistakes. You're correcting us. We want you guys to, practice, like, show us, I would say, just show us doing within yourself so that we try to catch what's actually happening. Because when we are doing it, sometimes I just lose the track and I just don't understand what's happening.
okay,
This
So,
is exactly what Rise Bhai had told me earlier. That we'll make a video, me being the candidate and Rise Bhai
what
being the
I what
examiner.
videos I have seen in the past tests are completely different for the test
Yeah,
today.
the past
no
test
this
videos
I
are
have
this
crap.
material,
tried and yeah.
no, this is not available anywhere, neither in the books, neither in the videos. This is completely I mean, uncharted territory.
Okay.
So this is unless and until someone who has appeared is able to tell you, but you will not find any constructive material on this part, how to master this area. And the native British guys, they love this part because they like talking. You have seen them, and they are
Yeah,
very
they're excellent in talk.
yeah, and they enjoy this part because they do not have to clinically assess the patient to extract out the signs. So you have to just put extra effort in mastering this, especially this station, and then the other stations is more of practicing examination skills and the knowledge background. But this is an additional preparation of the, obviously knowing the skill, describing that skill, and piecing all that information together to put your diagnosis forward. So I think we can do with Soleh. We can practice. We can give you a demonstration of how in real exam what you are supposed to do and how the examiner responds and how you proceed.
Yes.
So we can
Yeah, that
prepare.
should be helpful too.
Yeah, we can prepare and probably give you that rather than putting you on the spot and then trying to um, give you feedbacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should I proceed?
You can list what other things what you would be actually doing अगर
So
आपके सामने
in the
वाकई
social
में
milestones, I would
yeah
be looking for the play. I would be looking for the feeding. I would
mm-hmm.
be looking for the like toileting
Mm-hmm.
and dressing. These four things I would be assessing.
Yeah, but it's difficult to assess I mean the toileting and the dressing part. uh,
Yeah.
you will be getting the if you are asked to assess social milestones in your exam, it's more
Yeah.
than likely that the child is either Downs or the child is autistic.
Okay.
So just go on with each step and describe because this is what you have listed out is actually a history taking aspect from mom.
Achha.
You can get these informations, but in terms of assessing, you can mainly assess if the child is engaging with you, if the child is playing with you, if the child has a comfort toy with him or not, if the child is able to play with uh, either playing with you or the mom, if the child prefers to play with yourself or mom. And you in your initial observation, you would observe for any stereotypic behavior, if the child is demonstrating or displaying any stereotypic behavior, or if the so this is autistic, and if the child is Downs, the child may be bubbly, active, interactive, and the child
Mhm.
will able to play with you. So you can only assess these things in your examination part. Okay, so you have to do this in a graduated way, in a very each step by step manner. That I would sit at the level of child. I would observe what the child is doing. I would bring this toy in front of him. I would see if the child is reaching his hand, bringing his hand forward to get that toy. I would see what the child is doing with that toy, and then I would try to ask that back if the child is giving me back or
And
not.
should I say, I would try to like I will tell him a story and we'll see how much interested he's in.
Yeah, so you can pick up a book. Let's okay, John. So let's read.
Let's read
Let's have
this
a look at
book.
this book. Yeah, you will open the book. You will point out the pictures and see if the child is again. You're essentially looking for if the child is engaging with you or not.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
Okay,
the
so in assessment it's different. It's not the things which are all written in the book. Okay.
in assessment, yeah, assessment is slightly different. And so if you are given a child to assess, it I'm not supposed to say this, but it has been given in this format of exam an autistic child to assess.
So if like there would be autistic child and if I'm saying to the examiner that I am trying to engage with the child, so the examiner would say that he's not making an eye contact. So
Yeah,
should I ask like is there any other like is he having a particular toy or is he interested in only one thing or is he
yeah,
having any
yeah. So yeah,
stereotypical
yeah.
behavior?
Yes, you will. I will observe for if the child is making any demonstrating any stereotypic behavior, and other things you can give as a command that I would ask mom to um, pick up the child and place him on the other side of the room, separate him from his toys, and look for his response.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do they give ADHD child in the exam? Like the child is moving all around and he's on the go. Do they usually
They
like keep?
they can give they do give this in the actual exam scenario, and that becomes a nightmare for the candidate. In where the role player is, they have brought kids who have been having ADHD, and the candidates have just have a hard time. But they can give you even in your non face to face non role player based examination, where you are when you are observing, you ask for examiner, I'm observing what the child is doing, and the examiner will give you a response. The child is moving from here to this place, and is not really engaging or fixating with one item or one object, and is moving from here and there. But it's I mean, it's just to be aware of these things in your preparation. But again, I said the most common thing will be an autistic child not engaging in a fixated in a particular environment, having a comfort toy, and when you remove the child from that zone, the child will start crying.
Okay.
Okay, so these are the cues that the examiner would like you to extract out of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Dr. Rais Myra has given like a very good suggestion that if you guys do every domain assessment, like in front of, like if you just do the simulation sort of things
Yeah.
front
So
of us,
yeah,
so we would be able to understand the assessment, because I think we are still a bit confused about, because we are asking the history questions in the assessment. So
yeah.
that would
And
be great.
that's very common. That's very common error, especially from the IMGs. We tend to drift away from assessment to history taking.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
we'll try to do this way in the next sitting. I think it's quite long,
Yeah,
and
or you can like just do like in the upcoming classes, if you just like take a 5-10 minutes initially, like, and then describe it. So like I think if you will take these sort of 3-4 sessions, we would be able to like understand it better, and also we would be like, we will also do we can also mimic like you guys
are you talking about the development or the other things?
the development, because
Yeah.
development is the most
Yeah. Fine.
tough thing I found.
Yeah. All right. So we'll try to do that. And what I've advised you to prepare a list of developmental milestones and try to revise the milestones from that list again, from that same list again and again, instead of
Okay.
jumping from wide source of material available.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
wake up
we
in the
we will we will try to memorize all those things. Uh,
stick it on your mirror,
just an
and then
opinion. Last time Dr. Ubaid had did a very good history.
Yeah.
So is he still here? Can you also do one of the aspect of developmental assessment here, Dr. Ubaid? I think you are kind of more in line with how the exam is. So that should be helpful. I mean, when you do it and you observe it, of course, you learn a lot of things while observing things.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, all respected members. I'm really sorry. I had slept. Walaikum salam. I had slept without knowing. I was very tired post working. Yeah, we could do that, but while going through developmental milestones yesterday, it's really difficult to put it into a perspective, rather, because when you go and see the patient, you would know what you want to do. Like in reality, there is no other way to put it, you guys have more experience. Because when you see the non-verbal cues and the verbal cues there, you would automatically jump and you would say that this is my minimal bar, and I'm going to challenge from here, because there is it's a whole world to jump into. Isn't that the case?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that is what, as I am re-emphasizing again and again, that this particular station is the most challenging because you do not have those things in here.
Yeah. So, and one thing that you could help us with, um, it is those, like you mentioned that till 18 months ask question for 3 monthly, and in fact it is very easier till 2 years because the questions are limited, and the domains are also limited. But
Yeah.
afterwards, when you are going to assess nouns and pronouns and prepositions, adjectives and adverbs, it's difficult to begin with. Like you would, okay, the question that where is mommy? Can you point towards mommy? And then are you going to start with a playbook and ask what is this in the picture, and then look for noun, and then look for colors, and then look for prepositions after having gone through the playbook, and then look for what is big, what is short,
Uh,
and then is
you
that
know,
is that the case?
yeah, you know what? The examiner has the answer sheet in front of him where it's he's looking at that has the candidate assessed for nouns. How do you assess it? It doesn't matter because examiner will give you the cue. So if you ask the child to point, I mean, ask from the book, where is this and that, name this object, or where is mother, where is mommy, the examiner will give you the cue. Don't worry about it. So that's one easy part of the station.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
And then when you come to whether he is out of nappies or not, you would ask.
This, yeah. This is the history. I mean, the social domain. Whether he's dry by day, whether he's dry by night. This is more of in the history domain. And but if you do get a assessment of the social domain, it is reasonable to ask mom. You can ask few questions to mom even in your assessment. And you
Okay,
can make a point. I can see. I'm in your observation. You can uh, highlight these things. That does the child have a comfort toy? Is the child still in his nappies or not? Okay.
okay. And with regards to feeding, like you are free to ask whether they can spoon feed, spoon and fork and knife.
Yeah.
Or will we say like I will put a cup in front of him and see how does he demonstrate? Would we say like so? Or
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. You can. So you have the list of items from the RCPCH. Download that thing and practice these things as you said rightly.
okay.
Okay.
Or is he able to like I will also put spoon and fork and see how does he eat, or is he able to eat skillfully, or
So you can put this as a way that I would check with mom if she's got any food item, because you cannot give imaginary empty cups and fork and spoon in front of the child and expect
I
him
was
to.
actually reading that we can't be offering child cutlery and food items in the exam. I just read it somewhere.
Yeah, you can't do it in your actual exam when you have an actual kid in front of you. You cannot take out a chocolate from your pocket and give it to the
Oh,
child.
okay, okay. So
Yeah,
imaginary. Okay, this development we can say those things.
yeah,
Okay,
and
okay.
as I said, the when the examiner has the checklist that you are checking for the nappy, you are checking for toileting. So doesn't matter even if you just address that point however you wish, the examiner will give you the cue. So that is one good aspect of this kind of format.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but if you are able to understand and crack this code, you will sail through. You will get very good marks in this station.
So Dr. Rais, like if there would be a child with a social, like we have to assess the social domain. So we just have to. I would say to the examiner, I would come at the level of the child and see how does he engage with me? Is he making an eye contact with me? I would offer some toy and see how does he.
Yeah.
Is he like actively interested in playing with me, or does he like to play solitary games? And
Yeah.
then I will ask mom does she has anything for feeding, and will assess how does he feed,
Yeah.
does he
Before
spill
before
the
yeah. Yeah, before going to that, you can check for these things. If the child has a comfort toy or not. If the child is still in his nappies,
Okay.
And then if when you move the child away from his object of interest or the toys, how does the child react? And then you
Okay.
can assess for the feeding aspect. I would like to look at, assess the child's feeding. If mom has brought some food, and I would like to see how the child is handling that and offering that, and seeing how the child is taking that feed.
I have to write these points. Myra, could you please write these points and do
I've,
that?
I have recorded. I've recorded this
I'm
session.
sitting in a bus, Aisha. I can't.
I've recorded this. I'm recording this session, so I will share it. It will be a long video, but you can go back to the recording and you can
Yeah, that
listen
would
to
be
it.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, that should help. Thank you.
Yeah. So Dr. Hafiza, is it Hafiza or I don't recall your name exactly.
You can call me Maham. So
Maham. Okay.
yes, yes,
So
Dr.
do you
Maham.
have any questions, and do you have any what were your understanding, and if you have any thoughts on today's session?
See, I will learn these milestones. Then, so I got the point because I did not know until now that there will be no child in the developmental station, and you need to just ask the examiner that I want to do this, and the examiner will say will answer you, because in PLAB exam also there are some cases you can just say that I would like to examine this, and examiner will give you the findings.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I find that you guys are teaching this thing, right?
Yeah. So this is the current format with the RCPCH for the developmental station. It's not for the rest of the domains. It's not for the rest of the station. Just be mindful of that. In the rest,
Developmental.
yeah, it's only in the development. In the rest of the station, you will have actual patients and the role player, where you will be gathering. You'll be talking and examining them, and so it's only this exclusive to development station. So it needs extra preparation, and I would suggest preparing by starting a list of milestone, preparing your own list, repeating that again and again, and start from speech and language or social, and then go to gross motor, because we are well aware with we are well versed with gross motor and fine motor usually. What we are lacking is the fine is this speech and language assessment and the social domain assessment, either assessment or even gathering history, actually gathering history from the history taking station. So work on these gaps and these difficult areas first, um, and then you would probably be able to prepare for the station well. And we'll try to present you a demonstration of how to do it in the actual exam. Myself and Saleh will come up with some scenario based assessment and case study.
Book
Okay.
will you recommend? Which book do you recommend for this?
Look, for development, there are loads of information, there are loads of materials and contents. The content which I just shared, the big PDF one, what I did was I gathered the important points from all the different sources and material, and I just put everything on that list. I wrote everything on that area, and I just memorized those things. That's it. And you will not have time to do a lot of in your history taking and in your assessment as well.
You will have to present
PDF.
that.
Yeah,
Either you
I can share that PDF again.
keep presenting. If Dr. Maham and Ubaid are training together, you guys will have to present it every day. And if Myra and Aisha are together, you have to present it every day. Unless you don't present right on that day, नहीं आएंगे आपको. You have a mental block and you lose time.
Thank you.
Could we
Yeah,
go
I'm
to
also,
one
Dr.
of the
Rais, kind of
stations?
very much worried because I also believe that I need a partner to, practice the presentation with, because we are really not good
We
at
that
voicing things.
Dr. Rise Bhai's जो PDF है, stick it on a mirror and every day stand in front of the mirror and try to say it by heart. 3 years preposition, 4 years age, knows age and address, like that. So that it'll come in a flow on the day of exam. like 2 years, turn one page at a time, 2 years, turn a doorknob, scissors, when to use scissors, blocks. This should mentally, you should keep saying it, in your head. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be fine. Don't worry. Just
Good.
First step, and the first step is understanding the challenge, understanding the task, and then executing it. So the better you understand, and the better you will be able to prepare for it.